Now in California, and you're probably wondering how that might affect all the rest of us. So here to tell us more about it is Dr. Dean Sutherland. Dr. Sutherland, thanks for being with us this morning. Okay, so let's talk about this mad cow case in California.
This is the fourth case we've had of mad cow in the United States. In other words, a cow being infected. Remember back in the 1990s, there was a big hullabaloo, especially, rightly so, because in England there were several cases that happened in people from eating meat from cows, beef basically. And they discovered about 200,000 cows in England that were actually infected with this mad cow disease. So they wound up destroying about 4.5 million of them in England. Well, we have had 4 cases in cows here in the United States. Well, this new one was actually not from eating other cow products or anything. It's actually a variation of that. So sometimes it happens genetically. It actually happens in humans genetically. We've seen about 3 cases here since I've been in Sarasota.
Wow.
Which just happens sporadically in people.
So it wasn't something that they contracted, it was something in their own genes.
Right, so the protein that causes it is called prion protein. It's normally in the cells. So occasionally, genetically, you'll get a mutation in people that will cause you to have what's called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And that is normal for people to have, about 1 in a million, unfortunately. Wow. But it's not mad cow disease. And we think the same thing happens in other animals, and that's why you can see it in squirrels, you can see it in elk, you can even see it in cows naturally. And we think that the case in California is just that. It's a natural case of a mutation in this cow.
Okay, so this isn't something that we should be just really worried about.
No, absolutely not. And this is a cow that wasn't even meant to go to market. It wasn't one that actually was going to be put into the food supply. So it's actually lucky that the FDA and the CDC have this monitoring program in place so that we can actually catch cases like this before they actually happen.
Okay, but relatively, our food supply is relatively safe here in the U.S.
Yes, it is. Because of these programs that we have in place, it is. Of the cases that were in the U.S., actually 2 of them came from Canada a number of years ago, actually had been imported. So our food supply, I think, is very safe in terms of beef here in the U.S.
Those are some pretty good odds. But speaking of beef and making sure it's cooked correctly, especially if you're making hamburgers, what are some of the health hazards to watch? Not just mad cow, but what are some of the health hazards we need to watch out for when we're cooking beef?
The biggest one that keeps coming up over and over again is E. coli. So E. coli gets into the food system just normally through processing of foods. But you have to cook beef thoroughly, absolutely. Rare meat is really not good and can cause a lot of these cases. You can also get salmonella through other food products and things like that, and sometimes rarely beef. Again, uncooked. So you just have to make sure that you absolutely do cook it properly.
Okay, and that's easy enough. Well, thank you, Dr. Sutherland, for being with us this morning. And let's head over to Dave, check out our